Hello everybody, welcome into my Watch Me Wednesday episode number 122. I'm so excited today to bring you this really cool tutorial. I think you're going to love it. These blocks that I'm going to show you are super addictive and fun to make and really simple. So if you want to see how these double pinwheel blocks are made and want your friends to share in it too, hit that share button, because I also have something super special at the very end for you. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So I really want you to see these blocks. Now, I have made this quilt before a couple times, but I wanted to share something with you. So one of the reasons why this block is special to me, when I first started my business, Canton Village Quiltworks, years ago, 20 years ago actually, my logo was a double pinwheel block, believe it or not, because I love this block. Then I also made an award-winning quilt with this, and I'm going to show you a picture. For those of you who are familiar, I'm from the East Coast, and my husband's from Kutztown. And I entered a quilt in the Kutztown Folk Festival in 2005, and I won top honors. It was a double pinwheel block, or a double pinwheel quilt. And I have the photos here to show you. So here is the quilt. I did it out of, whoops, there's the camera. 30s repros, and you can see there's my top honors. And down below, I had done a couple quilts in the Kutztown Folk Festival that had won ribbons. So it was really cool and super special to me that I made the quilt and it won. And it also, because it won a top honors, it went to auction and it sold for over $1,200. And yes, I got the proceeds for that. So it was really cool. So of course I had to reproduce that quilt because I really wanted one for myself. But anyway, so enough talk about that. I know you want to see this. It's a super simple block to make. You can make it with 2.5-inch strips, but you can also make it larger. Now, it is a quilt from Eleanor Burns, Quilt in a Day. It is called Double Pinwheel Block, and it is from a book. And I am going to be doing a giveaway at the end of my video, so stay tuned on how to enter that giveaway. But let's get started on this block, because I think you're going to want to get started on it at home pretty soon. What you need to have are 2.5-inch strips, and who doesn't have that? And if you don't, you can make 2.5-inch strips. And basically what you need is a background fabric, a dark fabric or a light fabric, doesn't matter, another background fabric, and then another color. So I'm going to turn the camera down and I'm going to show you how to lay these out and how we're going to get started, okay? So I'm going to turn you down here. I've got everything all set up to show you. Okay, here we go. So you're going to lay it down just like this. You're going to lay a background, a color, a background, and a color. Now I've chosen black for my background. I'm using my Mandala Magic fabric line that will be in stores and in my shop in the fall, in September. So you'll be able to get them then, but until then you're getting these sneak peeks. So what you're going to do is you're simply going to put right sides together your 2.5-inch strips, one color to one background, and you're going to sew down the length. So really easy. And I'm going to bring you around. I'm going to show you how to sew down that length. So here we go. I know you just got to see my shorts. It's very hot here in Arizona. Sorry about that. So I'm just using a 1/4-inch foot 50 weight thread. I'm sewing on my Viking Epic 980Q right now. And you're just simply going to sew down that long edge of your fabric strips, right sides together, remember. So if you choose to use prints, make sure you're doing right sides together. And I'm using a 1/4-inch foot. I know some of you may not. You may move your needle over to that 1/4-inch position. That's okay. I prefer to do this because I can use that single needle throat plate in my machine. And I'm using an Aurifil 50 weight thread 2600, which I believe is the Dove Gray. So then you're going to go ahead and cut it, and you're going to repeat. You're just going to chain piece those. So you're going to just repeat with the rest of your strips, okay? Depending on how many colors you decide to do. I just pile them up. Okay, so the next thing you do, you got the next step here. So you've got your two strips that you've done, all sewn, and then you're going to press. But here's the important thing. You need to press when you've sewn these. What I've done is I pressed everything to the background. Okay, so now if you have a light background, then you're going to probably want to press everything to your color. But because I have a dark background, I just press everything to the background. That has to be consistent. You have to press them all to the same side. So every single strip of mine is going to be pressed towards my background. Again, if you have a light background and you have a color here, you press it the other way. That way you don't have a shadow showing through. So once they're pressed and they're all pressed in the same direction, you're going to take your two different strips that you've done, your two different strip sets, and you're going to place them right sides together. Now, the important thing here is that when you place them right sides together, you want these seams to nest. So they're going to kiss one another. They're just going to butt up right next to one another, and that's what makes this super accurate. If you're feeling lumps in here, it's not kissing one another and they're not nesting. It's super, super important that they lay nice and flat and nest. And sometimes if you just press it with a dry iron, it keeps them from moving. So that's important. Once you've gotten that done, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to square up one of the edges, okay? So you're going to take your ruler. Now I'm using a 6.5-inch square ruler, which I think is perfect for this particular block. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to square up this side. I'm just taking about 1/4 inch off here. Okay, so you're squaring up one edge, which is important. Then what you're going to do, and on this ruler, you see how it has the 4.5 inch. I'm going to cut 4.5 inch blocks out of here. So I'm simply going to lay my 4.5 inch line on the one edge that I just straightened up, and I'm going to lay my 4.5 inch line at the bottom here, straight with the bottom ruler. And this diagonal line actually will go straight up through because it's a 45-degree angle. I'm going to go ahead and cut 4 of these segments, which is important. One set of 4 strips, which we have here, is going to make one, or actually it's going to make 2 blocks. So once you've got those cut, you have, this is what you'll end up with. You end up with 4 sets of 4.5 inch blocks and a 2.5 inch set. Okay, you're going to end up with these little bonus 4 patches. Okay, so cut a 2.5 inch segment at the very end of that strip. Once you have your 4 blocks cut, the next step is you're still going to make sure that they're nice and nested. You're going to take your ruler, and what I do is I line up my 45-degree angle here. Okay, let me see if I can bring that just a little closer for you to see. So I'm bringing my 45-degree angle, I'm lining that up with my left-hand side, and I'm going to take, I use a pen because I can see it best. I'm going to take that and I'm going to go on a diagonal, and you can, if you want to start out from the middle and go to either end, you're going to go a diagonal through each block. So you can see what I'm doing there. I'm creating a diagonal line down each block. So I'll do that again. You want to go ahead and create that diagonal line. That's super important down each block. You're going to repeat that with all your blocks. So if you've been chain piecing lots and lots of these strips together, you're going to cut them, you're going to mark them, and then we're going to do the next step. So now that's all done. Then you're going to sew, and actually let me just show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew down the side. I'm going to sew down each side, but I'm going to chain piece. So I'm going to bring you back over here to the machine, and I'm going to chain piece. I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch away from each side of that mark. And yes, guess what? I am sewing with my foot now. I have my ankle brace, and I've gone through 3 sessions of PT, and I'm getting a little more flexibility back in my ankle, which I'm really excited about. So anyway, so I'm sewing a 1/4 inch away from the line that I just made, and I have my machine and needle down, and on my Vikings, when I have my needle and needle down position, the foot lifts up because it's got this little sensor foot. I love it. Lifts up so that I can make any adjustments. My seams are still nested. That's super important because that is going to really matter when we open these up. Your seams are going to be perfect. You're going to end up with these perfect pinwheel points, which you just are going to be like in awe of. I mean it, especially if you've gotten that nesting down. So then after you've chained pieced all of these blocks together, however many you're doing, you're going to go back down the other side, keeping that chain going, 1/4 inch away from that line, and just through to however many blocks that you're doing. Keep it going. If you feel better pinning either side, you certainly can. These, I really don't feel the need to pin on these because if these are nicely pressed, and batiks really hold up quite well in this too. So batiks are nice because when you give them a press, batiks press so nicely. I also like to use a little bit of Mary Ellen's when I'm pressing so that everything lays nice and flat. So once you have all your blocks all sewn at that 1/4 inch, I go ahead back to the iron and I just set all my seams. I give it a press. Now, the next step we're back over here. I'm going to have a lot of blocks by the time I'm done with you guys. So here's my next set. Oh, and by the way, at the end, you can go ahead and you can sew your little 4-patch together. So remember I said you end up with a little 2.5 inch patch that you're cutting, ends up in a 4-patch. So when I'm done sewing my chain of the blocks, I go ahead and I sew my 4 patches. So you get all these little 4 patches. So that comes out of there. So now here are all my blocks all sewn down each side. Okay. And we want to now cut those down the middle. So you're going to lay your ruler down on that line you cut or on that line you drew, and you're just going to give it a cut. But now you see these are 2 different blocks. Do you see that? Or 2 different sides. So you need to make 2 separate piles. Okay? 2 separate piles here. Like so. Make sure you're 2 separate piles. Once you have your 2 piles made, you have these 2 piles, you have 4 in each pile. Okay? Those are going to make 2 different blocks. So you're going to press those blocks open, and you see how that little seam matched so nicely. Once you have these little dog ears, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to trim those away. Just like this. Okay? You could do it with a rotary cutter, but you want to trim those away because we don't need those there. It's just going to make it a little more difficult. And I'm sorry if I'm not in the camera here. Here we go. I'm just trimming those away so they're nice and square. Okay? The next thing you're going to do is once you get those all trimmed up, trim the last two, all trimmed up. If you want to do it with a rotary cutter, you can. You're going to lay them out into a block, okay, like so. You're going to join the blocks together, but I'm going to show you. The seam here will nest. That nests, and this one nests. The diagonal one nests. Same here. They nest together, okay? They nest together. You're going to nest them. If you feel like you need to pin them, you certainly can. Then you're going to sew down each side, but you're going to chain them. You can see that I've kept that together. And then, let me turn you around. I'm going to sew it together for you so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm putting these together, but in a chain, and I'm making sure they nest. So I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam with my needle down. And I want to make sure that my seams stay nested. So if I have that needle down, I can make sure I'm readjusting and making sure they nest. That's super important. And I want to keep chaining through. Now here is the rest of my block, the bottom half, and you can see where it starts, the pinwheel, the middle part there. And you're sewing out a 1/4 inch. Now, once that's all done, the important thing here is to press in opposite directions. So you're going to go ahead, and what I do is I put it on the ironing board just like so. So I put it where one block is opposing and the other. So this one's going to press that way. This one will press that way. I'm going to open this one up and press it that direction. And then I'm going to open this one up and press it this direction so that these two seams will nest. Now, let me turn you back around. I hope you're getting all this. I know I'm going to get lots of questions. Okay, so now you've got your two sides, and you can see where there's that 1/4 inch here. I don't know if you can see from that point down, there's that 1/4 inch. And there's that same 1/4 inch on the bottom. You're going to turn these right sides together, and these seams will nest. These seams will now nest. They're going to nest here. They're going to nest there, there, and there, and the ends will match. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to sew down that length to create that block. Once you've sewn down that length, you are going to have your completed block. When you're ready to press this, I press the seam completely open because it makes it lie nice and flat. And you'll see how nice those points are. Aren't they beautiful? And that is how you get this beautiful double pinwheel block. Now, I'm going to swing you back up so you can see me. Hang on. We're coming back up. Whoops. We're a little crooked. Here we go. Hi there, everybody. Hello again. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties with my tripod. Anyway, so it's a simple little block, but you can make it in a varying amount of sizes, and you can do it from scraps, you could do it from yardage, and that's why I want you guys to have the book too. So here are a couple things. I did put a link above me where you can get the book. I don't carry it. Quilt in a Day carries it, so you can get it from them, and the link is up there. But I'm also going to give away 2 copies of the book, and here's how you do it. The instructions are above me, but in order to be entered to win a copy of the book, I put a link to my YouTube channel up top. You have to go over to my YouTube channel. When I'm done, And I have to upload this video. So you're going to have to wait probably about a good 15, 20 minutes. I have to upload this video to YouTube before you can comment on it. Go over there, subscribe to my channel, and put a comment on this video that you watched it, you subscribe to my channel, and you will be entered to win one of those books. Then next week, the giveaway will be open for a week. Next week, I will announce the winners here on Watch Me Wednesday. So I hope you enjoyed this fun little tutorial. And I go back and watch it for sure. And Lou is asking what ruler did I use to square up the block. You really don't need any to square up the block, but it does measure up at, hang on, the finished block measures up at 7.5. Is that right? 7.5, 8, something like that. Anyway, I use this to cut it, 6.5 inch to cut throughout the whole thing, but it's pretty super duper simple. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I love the blocks. I'm going to have a fantastic quilt when I'm done, and they're so much fun. It's like eating candy. Anyway, I hope to see you on my YouTube channel, and I will see you next week. Watch Me Wednesday with another tutorial and the winners of the book. Take care, everybody. Happy quilting. Bye-bye.